Okay, cheers, everyone. Get ready, because today we're going deep into the world of Viognier. I'll admit I didn't know much about it before this deep dive, but now, color me intrigued.
Well, get ready to be fascinated. It's a grape with a past. We're talking almost extinct, and now it's having a global comeback. It's a story you won't believe.
Almost extinct. Wow, that's a shame because everything I'm reading has me really curious.
You and me both.
Ugh.
It went from barely existing to experiencing a global renaissance, and we're going to uncover all of that for you today.
I have to say, before this, Viognier was kind of a mystery to me. Knew the name, but that was about it. But now, let's just say I've already got a bottle chilling in the fridge, ready to go.
That's the beauty of wine, isn't it? It's an adventure, just waiting to be uncorked. And trust me, Viognier is full of surprises. Think ancient origins in the Rhone Valley of France, a totally unique flavor profile. It's a wild ride.
The Rhone Valley. Now, that's where some of the big names in wine come from, am I right?
Exactly. And within the Rhone Valley, there's this tiny little area, very prestigious, called Condry. That's Viogniers' home turf.
Condru! Okay, just the name sounds elegant, but hold on, you said this grape almost went extinct. Something this fancy. How?
You're not going to believe this, but by 1965, get this, only 8 hectares of Viognier were left in Condru. That's, what, the size of a small park.
That's heartbreaking. Seriously, can you imagine a world without Viognier? People would be missing out on something special.
Right. We really owe those passionate winemakers a huge thanks. They saw the potential in this ancient grape and brought it back from the brink. Talk about dedication.
They deserve a toast, for sure. Maybe a medal, too, while we're at it. Okay, but enough about history for now. Tell me, what does Viognier actually taste like? That's what I want to know.
Oh, get ready for a sensory explosion. It's famous for what the experts call an exuberant aroma profile. Vibrant, intense, like a whole bouquet of flowers bursting with fragrance.
Ooh. Okay, paint me a picture here. What kind of flowers are we talking about?
Close your eyes and imagine the sweet scent of acacia, a touch of jasmine, maybe some honeysuckle, and all of that wrapped up in the sweetness of ripe stone fruits, peaches, apricots, nectarines, the good stuff.
Wow, that sounds incredibly complex. Are you telling me all those flavors are just swirling around in the glass? How does that even happen?
It's like this. You get that initial burst of floral aromas, right?
Yeah.
Then, as the wine breathes, those stone fruit notes, they start to emerge and blend together. It's like a beautiful tapestry of flavors.
A summer fruit basket mixed with a florist's dream. Sign me up.
Right, and just when you think you've uncovered it all, boom, hint of spice. Maybe a whisper of ginger or a touch of white pepper. Just enough to make things interesting.
This is already way more complex than your average white wine. Wait, there's more, isn't there?
Oh, you heard right. We haven't even touched on oaked Viognier yet. Imagine all those flavors we just talked about, all that goodness, and then we layer on even more complexity. Notes of vanilla, honey, toasted almonds.
Hold on, there's more. This is blowing my mind. What happens when you introduce oak into the mix? Does it become too much?
It's a balancing act, that's for sure. The right kind of oak, used carefully, it can really enhance those existing flavors and take the wine to a whole other level.
This is what I love about wine. It's an experience, and it sounds like Viognier is playing in a whole different league. Okay, so we've talked about its history, the near-death experience, the amazing flavor. What about the mouthfeel? How does it actually feel in your mouth?
Ah, yes. The mouthfeel. This is where Viognier really shines. Naturally low acidity, which gives it this incredibly smooth, almost creamy texture. Some people even describe it as, get this, unctuous.
Unctuous. Okay, you're going to have to add that one to my wine vocabulary.
Think of that luxurious, velvety feeling you get from a spoonful of honey or a perfectly ripe avocado. That's what unctuous means in the wine world. It's like the wine is coating your tongue in silk.
All right, you've sold me. But before I go hunting for Viognier in every wine shop in town, I have to ask. It's mostly just found in that one little corner of France, right?
And that's where things get really interesting. While Condru is still the heartland of Viognier, this grape has been quietly taking over the world. It's on a global journey.
Okay, now we're talking. Tell me more about this Viognier world domination. Where has it traveled to?
Well, one of its biggest stops is California. It's actually become the leading producer of Viognier in the United States.
That makes sense. California wine country is all about bold flavors, just like we've been talking about. Those wines are like sunshine in a bottle.
You've got it. California Viognier tends to be a bit bolder, a bit more fruit-forward compared to its French cousins.
A little more California sunshine in every glass. Love it. Where else has Viognier set up shop?
Australia has really embraced Viognier, especially regions like Barossa Valley and McLaren Vale.
Oh, no, those are some top-notch wine regions right there. So Australian Viognier, I'm guessing it has its own unique thing going on.
Absolutely. The Australian climate gives it a slightly different personality, you could say. Think a touch more elegant, maybe with a bit more emphasis on citrus notes.
So a bit more crisp and refreshing compared to the bolder California style.
Exactly. Think of it like biting into a juicy peach
Yeah.
versus enjoying a refreshing grapefruit. Two totally different experiences.
Okay, now I need to book a flight and go on a Viognier tasting tour. But wait, are there any other places I should add to my list? Any hidden gems?
Oh, there are even more emerging regions popping up all the time. We're talking Chile, Argentina, even as far as South Africa and Brazil.
Wow, Viognier is officially having its moment. And speaking of moments, I think I'm ready for another glass. But before I crack open this bottle, what should I be pairing it with? What really makes Viognier sing?
Now you're speaking my language. And that's the great thing about Viognier. It's so versatile.
You're telling me I don't have to save it for a fancy dinner party. Don't get me wrong, I love an excuse to dress up. But still.
Not at all. Viognier can hang with a surprising range of dishes. It really can. Think roast chicken with herbs, grilled salmon with a nice fruit salsa, or even creamy goat cheese and brie. Classics for a reason.
Okay, those all sound amazing. I'm definitely adding those to my list. But you said surprising pairings, too. Intrigued. What else goes well with this Wonder Grape?
Well, Viognier's got this aromatic complexity, right? So
Yeah.
it can actually handle bolder flavors. It can be amazing with spicy Asian dishes like Thai or Vietnamese food.
Whoa, now that's unexpected. I never would have thought to put those flavors together.
It's all about that balance.
Right.
And honestly, don't be afraid to just try things out. Some more adventurous pairings. Foie gras, even.
Asparagus.
Asparagus. Okay, now that is next level. You've turned me into a Viognier believer.
I have a feeling you'll be winning over some converts of your own once they taste what you're about to discover.
Oh, they better get ready for some serious Viognier-themed dinner parties. But speaking of the future, what's next for Viognier? What's got the winemakers so excited these days?
Winemakers are artists at heart, right? Always experimenting, always trying to create something special. And Viognier, it's a pretty great muse.
I love that. Okay, so what kind of magic are these wine wizards cooking up with Viognier? Well, one trend we're seeing is this move towards using what are called indigenous yeasts during fermentation.
Okay, say more about that. Indigenous yeasts, those are like the naturally occurring ones, right? From the vineyard itself.
Exactly. Instead of using those commercially cultivated yeasts, winemakers are embracing the wild ones, the ones that are already on the grapes, in the air of the winery. It's all about that natural touch.
Okay, cool. But what difference does it actually make? How do those wild yeasts change the final product?
Think of it this way. Commercial yeasts, they're like putting on a song you love on your phone. You know exactly what you're going to get. But indigenous yeasts, they're like seeing that same song live, in concert. There's this energy, this unpredictability. Every performance is unique.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. So every bottle of Viognier made with these indigenous yeasts, it's like a one-of-a-kind thing?
Exactly. Adds a whole other layer of complexity and nuance. And it really lets the character of the vineyard, that sense of place, shine through.
Okay, indigenous yeasts. Adding that to my wine vocabulary. I'm learning so much. What other tricks do these winemakers have up their sleeves?
Oak aging. We touched on it earlier, but it's a whole world of its own. Oak can add so much depth and richness to Viognier. It's all about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, you don't want to drown out those beautiful floral and fruit notes.
Exactly. Some winemakers, they're experimenting with different types of oak barrels. French oak, American oak.
Hmm?
Each one leaves its own unique mark on the wine.
So many variables. It's amazing how much goes into it.
Right. And then there's the whole movement toward organic and biodynamic viticulture. That's changing the game too.
Which makes total sense. People care about what they're putting into their bodies, and that includes what's in their wine, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Organic and biodynamic, it's all about working with nature, not against it. No synthetic pesticides, no herbicides, just focusing on healthy soil, healthy vines. And that means better quality grapes in the end.
And hopefully even more delicious Viognier. But you know, one thing's been on my mind. What about climate change? We hear so much about how it's affecting wine. How's Viognier handling it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for every winemaker out there, especially with a grape like Viognier. It likes things just so.
Yeah.
So even small changes in climate can have a big impact on the final product.
I bet. So what are these wine superheroes doing to adapt?
They're getting creative. Some are seeking out cooler spots to grow their grapes, higher elevations, closer to the coast. Others are playing around with different trellising techniques to shield the grapes from the sun. They're problem solvers, these winemakers.
So they're on a quest for the perfect Viognier, adapting and innovating every step of the way.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it shows how dedicated they are. This Viognier comeback, it's not just about rediscovering a forgotten grape. It's about this desire for wines that are unique, that tell a story, that have a sense of place.
It's a story of resilience, of passion, and a whole lot of flavor, from almost disappearing to taking the world by storm. I never realized how much thought and care, how much innovation goes into every single sip of wine.
It really is remarkable.
I feel like I need to savor my next glass even more, just thinking about it all. It really makes you appreciate every sip, doesn't it? It's incredible that something so delicate with all those complex flavors is strong enough to handle those kinds of changes.
Honestly, before this deep dive, I thought Viognier was going to be this obscure niche thing, like something I'd never actually see in a store, let alone taste.
It's a hidden gem, that's for sure. But word's getting out. People are starting to pay attention.
And for good reason. It's got it all complexity, it goes with everything, plus it's got a story to tell. But I keep thinking about the passion of those winemakers. Seriously, what if they hadn't stepped in to save it all those years ago? We'd be missing out.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's the things we almost lose that we end up cherishing the most. Isn't that the truth? So true. Speaking of cherishing things, I think it's time for me to open that bottle of Viognier that's been calling my name. Any final thoughts, words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
If there's one thing I hope you take away from today, it's this. Don't be afraid to explore. The world of wine is huge, always changing. There's always something new to discover, something you've never tasted before. Who knows, you might just find your new favorite.
And if I had to guess, I'd say that new favorite just might be Viognier. It's definitely shooting straight to the top of my list.
It's a remarkable grape. It was a remarkable story, and like we've seen today, that story is still being written.
Cheers to that. And to our listeners out there, I have a little challenge for you. Go find yourself a bottle of Viognier and give it a try. If you want the classic experience, go for a Condrieu. But hey, be adventurous. Try one from a region you've never even heard of, and let us know what you think. We're always up for expanding our wine horizons. Until next time, happy exploring, everyone.